Okay. Well, I welcome everybody here today. I'm super excited. I am bubbling over, and I'm super excited because my friend Carol Ann, who we haven't known each other a long time, but we connected because Spirit has amazing ways and synchronicities that bring people together, situations and opportunities. And so we had a chat, and I realized, oh my gosh, Carol Ann, you need to come and talk with my audience. So here's Carol Ann with me today. I'm Amira Hall. I am a psychic medium and a clairvoyant healer, teacher, and mentor. And Carol Ann has been on the journey as long as myself for over 23 years. She's a medium, an evidential medium, by the way, as we like to say, because we actually give proof that the person is with us. She does psychic readings. She's a shamanic healer, and she's been on this lifelong journey of healing herself and giving messages, connecting with her angels and guides. She's a licensed massage therapist, a shaman who's had training with Peruvian shaman and master teachers in Hawaii. So I just like ditto, right? We've got so many similarities. It's just super exciting to finally meet someone on the path that's been doing. We've been parallel. It's super exciting. So welcome, Carol Ann. Thank you for being here with me today.
Well, thank you, Amira, and hello to everyone out there who is either listening in now or later. As we know, energy doesn't know space and time. So whenever you tune into this, you're meant to receive the energy and the fun and the beauty of Amira putting on this beautiful program and inviting me on. I'm very honored to be here.
Well, thank you, Carol. You know, this is sort of a spontaneous thing going live myself. So I'm figuring it all out, and I'm excited all the time doing it. Spirit sort of put me in an uncomfortable position. So I don't know that it's well thought out all the time, but hey, nothing has to be perfect here, but it is perfect, right? It's perfect just the way we're coming.
And it's imperfectness, right?
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Yeah. So I'm trying to monitor our chat a little bit here. So I will hopefully see if people come in and do that. But I got to keep the window larger in order to do it. So
you do what you have to do.
Carolina, tell me, how did this whole journey begin for you? Where did you start? And yeah, let's start with that.
Oh, golly, I'll try and keep my best to keep it short. But, it was one of those things that even as a child, I didn't understand what was coming through, really. As a young child playing outdoors, I had these imaginary playmates that were healers. And they would come to me, and they even used the word shaman, and nobody, I grew up in Dubuque, Iowa, which is, a Catholic Christian community. So nobody talked about this kind of stuff, working with spirit beings and healers. So to me, they were like imaginary playmates. And when I was about 10 years old, I had an experience when my grandfather was passing. I could feel his heart attack. And at the time he was passing, I didn't know this. It was middle of the night, and it scared me until I saw his face. And he said, "I'm okay now," when he had passed. So all this was like, I tried to share it with the lady I was staying at her house. It was like a babysitter. And she said, "Oh, it was just a bad dream." So these are just early experiences that I didn't understand because I had no context. But I knew I was a little different in that way. And even in college, I got interested in, growing up, I got books from the library about psychics and about yoga and about spirit. And, I like to read about Native American healing, things like that. I just had that interest. So in college, I even dabbled with giving readings, not really knowing what I was doing, but obviously people got something out of it.
And it was a game to us, right? When you look at it and play with it and explore it, it's not so threatening.
Right.
And so it looks to me like you weren't analyzing it, you were just having fun.
I was. It was just, I was like, I met a lady who was an astrologer and did readings. I was like, how does one, this is back in the 1980s. How do you become a psychic medium? How do you do this? At that time, I didn't know of any place to train, or we didn't have social media to put yourself out there. So I just kind of followed the usual path of biology major in college and then an MBA and then get married and had kids, which 4 children, which I absolutely love being the mom and still being the mom and grandma. That's part of our path. We wear many hats. But after my dad passed 24 years ago, that was the kick in the pants right there, the really nudge, the pull. He started coming to me from the spirit world with evidence. I mean, truly, like the smell of his pipe tobacco. My house didn't have smokers and, I had young kids. So when my room filled with that aroma of pipe tobacco that he had used when I was young, I knew it was my dad. And my grandmother, his mother in spirit, started coming and they said, it's time for you to develop these skills. And that was the beginning. That was 24 years ago. And I knew it was time to, so to speak, come out and start learning these things, which, I did. I learned and practiced and studied and tried different things and have really enjoyed the process and met the most amazing people like yourself. I mean, here I am 24 years into this journey, lifetime journey, as you know, but truly focusing and studying. And I meet you. I mean, we meet each other at just the perfect time.
It's incredible. And it's interesting because you had signed up for my reset training, right? And it's funny because I was sitting here preparing and asking, because we didn't orchestrate or align anything up, no topic, because Carol Ann, in our conversation, we agreed that, hey, let's just let spirit guide us and we will have the perfect conversation. And so I was sitting here just before clearing the space and setting it up for this divine intervention. And the word that kept coming was reset. And honestly, I had forgotten that you found me through my reset training. And so spirit wants me or us to address this whole concept of reset, because I don't know if you're experiencing this, and I would love to hear what, if there's some theme or what you're noticing as a recurring pattern with like a wide range of people at this time.
That's a great word, reset. And I also want to say thank you. You're putting out a lot of great content and, a lot of it for free for people to learn from you. And so yay you for doing that.
Thank you. It's believe me, spirit's behind me, just pushing me every step of the way. I'm running, trying to catch up.
I know, it's motivated me I'm creating a little ebook about spirit animals that I can put on my website soon.
Awesome.
And also things of angels. And I have a whole bunch in the works. It's like we get excited, we get all these projects going. So but
and just to that point, there's so much information out there on the internet, one that's generic and two that's misleading, or I find that people offering things are just copy and pasting from somewhere else, making it simple just to get you on their email list. And, it really takes a lot of energy and forethought and engagement and experience to put together something that's truly valuable. Because I don't know about you, but I've downloaded a bunch of stuff over the years and going, who is this person again? Or what is it? So that's why I really want to applaud you in putting that together. That's awesome.
We can be inspired by each other. That doesn't mean to copy or be exactly alike. It's just, that inspiration in ebook. What could I put out that would help somebody and include my personal experience? So if I talk about maybe 10 popular spirit animals, I can interject what my experience is with each one, how that may help the person who's reading about them. How would the medicine bear help them? How would the wolf help them? And so on.
Exactly. So what's the theme that you're noticing with people?
In the reset?
No, just overall, in your professional experience, what are you noticing? Is there a trend? Have you noticed a theme? Have you noticed people coming with the same type of questions or experiences?
I've actually noticed a lot of people are not only want a reading to hear from mom in the spirit world or get psychic guidance on should they change their partner or their job, but they want to learn. They want to learn because they have a curiosity. And I bet anybody tuning in now or later has a curiosity and feels that stirring in them that I have some of these abilities, and which we all do. It's just some choose to develop it and some don't, right? Choose for some reason. So I'm finding there's this theme of curiosity. How does this work? And is it safe? And many, because there's a lot of fears we're taught around spirit communication in our culture, right?
And there's some unhealthy approaches. I would agree. And that having a teacher or a mentor that's not only walked the path, but has a grounded protocol or system or a way to safely develop. I too, I have an intuitive development. It's truly clairvoyant. So a lot of people want to develop their third eye or open the third eye. And quite honestly, I've been adamant about just like, you can't just flick it on. Okay. There's a process, and I take people through a grounded system of learning. And I was just speaking to one of my clients yesterday who said, boy, oh boy, we're in our 6th or 7th week, and all of a sudden her spiritual abilities are turning on. She's connecting with her deceased son. She's like, he's sitting in the passenger seat of her car. So her gifts, another one of my students from Saudi Arabia, when his pineal gland opened or truly got clear and connected, he was seeing the organs of inside people's bodies. So everybody gets to see different or have their experience of their gifts in a different way. What are you noticing with that?
Well, I'm noticing there's, like you mentioned, there's people that come to me and they have a misunderstanding or misinformation or big fear. And as they try to learn on their own, through maybe a book or just, like you said, in misinformation out there, they have fearful experiences. And so I have to ease their fear and walk through them. What was that experience? What really was it? There are untrained people out there that actually, they think they're helping, but they do some hurt, some damage. I'll give without mentioning names or scenarios, that I had a client come to me and say that her loved one in spirit, when that person passed, a friend of hers that was a yoga teacher called her a few days later and said, well, your loved one came to me and was lost, and I had to help them cross over. Well, that kept her in so much anguish and fear to think her loved one was lost when they crossed. That just doesn't happen. Our loved ones are always guided by helping angels, spirits, and loved ones who've crossed before them. They are always helped and guided into the other side. And so that's a case in point where an untrained person or person trained incorrectly caused a lot of damage, a lot of harm for this person, the anguish. So we have to be very careful and ethical in our work, and know that there's also a practical side. It isn't all this Hollywood fear around, haunted. Yes, there may be places with imprints, but we can work with those imprints. And our loved ones in spirit are also evolving. And sometimes we work with them to help them as they help us, right? It's an exchange. So it is true, as you said, it's important to find a teacher that has walked the path and is ethical in his or her work.
Because we were talking about all the things that we'd like to put together and offer to clients to find, really a method or a tool to connect, because a lot of people are looking and they don't know who to trust. That comes up over and over and over again with me and my clients also, is they're thrilled with their progress and they could have never anticipated. That's because I can't tell in a written form or on my website exactly in everything that's going to happen. It's a journey, right? It's just like you took your 24 years of experience, you learned and you discovered and you explored it and were able to trust it. So there's this process, right, of us building like a spiritual or energetic muscle to trust it, I think, and believe it. Wow, was that really my dad? Was that really my ex-husband?
That's so true. A lot of people are like, am I making this up? Is this my
Yeah,
imagination? And that comes with the experience of knowing yourself enough and trusting spirit that what you're getting is truly from spirit. And working, it just takes practice and trust, experience.
that's
And
the key, the practice, right?
yeah,
And
that's
having a safe and value, like with my clairvoyant training, I like to have a group or
Mhm.
consistency. So not only do we set a pattern of
Right.
consistently reading new people and strangers, because I find that when we read or when we practice seeing the energy with a stranger, they're going to validate us in ways that if you were practicing with your sister or your brother, they might say, no, that's not true. That's not true. But a stranger will go, oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's true. Have you
That
noticed
is,
that?
oh, absolutely. And that is so validating. That's why also
Yeah,
with my clients and students that I've had in the past, I encourage them, you're right, to partner with somebody they don't know, because then your mind can't come up with stories you already know about them. And you
right.
just let the imagery and the sensations and the feelings and the knowings flow through. And you don't worry at first about getting it right or wrong. You just let it flow. Just open to spirit and have fun with
Yeah,
it and let it
I like
flow.
to say, pretend you're in kindergarten.
Yeah.
If you're a 5-year-old, you want to color somebody's face
Yep.
blue or purple, it's okay. So whatever message or picture or image you're getting or words, it might sound cuckoo crazy to you,
Mhm.
but it's probably going to speak to the person that you've got a message for. Yeah,
I've actually, that's so true. I've mentored recently a couple people new, and the excitement when that aha happens, and the excitement when they make their first contact and they go, am I really doing this? Yes, keep flowing. You're doing
right.
great. The encouragement that yes, because it's a very different feeling and a subtleness that
Mhm.
can be confused with imagination if you don't start to learn the difference,
To
right?
differentiate. Yeah. I've
Yeah.
had many people who are very analytical
Yeah.
and or they come to my classes and they've been frustrated because, well, I don't see anything.
Yeah.
And it's like that tone, right? I don't see anything. I
Yeah.
can't see anything. Yeah, you can. If you can close your eyes and visualize, your shoe right now, that's the form of clairvoyance, right?
Right.
That's
Right.
a form of imaginary pictures. And then we have to sort of let go with that concept and sort of just
Yeah.
explore it, sort of
Well, the
going
same with
down.
other senses. I had a student recently who could visualize, but very clairvoyant, but couldn't feel it, sense it, and or hear it in, clairaudiently. And so working with our students and clients on, okay, what are some of the little practices you can do to expand that, to practice when you're out for a walk, if you want to expand your clairaudience, listening, really listening, the birds or the bell in the distance or the truck rumbling, and to listen to it all and then focus on one thing. The practice translates to the energy of
Right.
of connecting with spirit. So there are lots of techniques a person can learn to hone the skills. And when a client or a student gets that aha moment, it's like, yes. And we go, yes, excited about it. And let's keep going. And
Yeah.
because sometimes we do have our doubts, and a lot of people doubt. I mean, I know
Well, it still happens to me. If you'll get a thought or an impression on something, you're like, well, where's that coming from? What is that? And so sometimes it takes some time for it to reveal itself, where the source is or what it's directing to. So back to trusting. Sometimes it's in stages, right? That the messages unfold, or maybe I'm walking and maybe I'm blue, and it's happened to me where I'm asking the cardinals. Look, that always brings me a spring in my step when I see the cardinals. So I'll send a message to them before I start my walk. Hey, I need a message today. Can you come? And so sure enough, there will be a cardinal or two or three or four. And so then I sit and I ask,
well,
what's your message for me?
that's important, to ask for the sign and trust it when you get it.
Right.
You know?
Instead of
And
going, oh, well, the Cardinals are always here. Today is no different than any other day,
but it
right?
is. And then to give
Yeah.
thank you, thank
Yeah.
you for that message, for being with me and having my back, Spirit, right? That all goes hand in hand. To believe it, put it out there. This is what message I would like. I would like a sign. I'd like a message. Accept it when it comes, but accept it, bring it in and trust it, and then give gratitude.
Yeah.
That it's a simple process. And the more you do this, the more those synchronicities happen. It's so exciting when it does.
Right. I'm reflecting back to my question to you on what the theme you've noticed and people wanting to learn. And it's interesting because I was reflecting on, well, how does that have to do with reset? Well, of course it's a reset. It's all about this spiritual awakening. We're resetting our awareness, our abilities, our spiritual psychic sensitivities to be these superhumans. And, I've been going down the path of manifesting. I find there's a lot of people, there's people that are spiritually attuned or want to awaken, but there's also these other group of people that want to manifest more. But guess what? They're kind of the same, because it's only when you're in true alignment with yourself that you can manifest like a master or pro or a boss, as they say, manifest like a boss. And so that's the secret. That's the twist. It's almost like, oh, you think you're just manifesting or you're just in the law of attraction mode, but really you're in a reset. You're learning how to be this spiritual being having a human experience, sort of a buildup, isn't it?
It is. You're reprogramming yourself on all levels, the mind, the spirit, the physical body too. And that's important here. A lot of people kind of, when they go on the spiritual journey, they don't realize that their physical body is equally as important as their mental, emotional, and spirit body. And I've been there too, where I didn't realize that was an important part of the pillar here. So pay attention to your physical responses and how your body and sensations in your body may change as you open to these psychic abilities and spiritual awareness. Yeah.
So it's like a chicken or egg situation, because like my own spiritual awakening, I think, was really kicked into high gear when my father died. Then I was going through divorce at the same time. So there's that emotional trauma, right? Then I got diagnosed as chronic fatigue syndrome, and the doctors told me death or wheelchair. And so to go home and prepare my affair. So with all that emotional buildup and my own physical body failing me and pacing the floor for hours on end and nights on end, asking God, why would you do this to me? It's really an immature approach or understanding in terms of, I think, spiritual development of why would God do this to me, right?
But it's
and then I was fired. So I had the physical, emotional, mental anguish. And at the time, that was pre-internet. So there wasn't a lot of resources, or yes, you could get the spiritual books. And yes, I found some people to support me, but that it's usually, like I find a lot of people traumatized at the physical body level, and especially now. So it's like your jolt, it's your wake up call. Yes, maybe you have to change your diet. Maybe you got to go do more exercise, maybe better sleep at night, drinking more, all of those things. But that's, as you said, to your point, is building up to that other level of refinement.
Right.
And where you're sitting down long enough to hear the freaking message that, Spirit's trying to get to you.
Be grounded and embody it. So if your body is in better shape, you can truly hear Spirit more clearly. And that's partly why in my journey of expanding in mediumship and psychic and shamanic healing, Reiki, and so on, I also went into body work and got licensed as a massage therapist and body worker, and actually taught at a massage school for a while, physiology and anatomy. There came in my biology from years ago, because we're not separate. Our energy field and our physical body are woven together in this form, in this earth realm. And we've chosen this for an experience. And so often we forget that we are, that spirit being having a human experience, and it's all integrated right now. And when we die, when we cross over, our light body leaves that physical body. But until then, we're integrated, and it's working.
Until then, we're trying to integrate.
And I find that, we were talking before we started how sometimes we get physical sensations that may have to do with, connecting with a person or a client. And I learned early on in my massage training that I would feel the physical symptoms of the client that's coming before they came. I would know what was, because I'd feel it in my body. All of a sudden I'd have a headache over here, or, oh, my neck is stiff.
Exactly. Empathic.
Yeah. Then I would realize, oh, that's information. I don't have to keep it in my body. Oof.
And it's not mine, because a lot of times people will identify it. Well, I know with clients, when we're, every week we do a clearing, and it's like, oh, Amira, I can't do it today because I got a really bad cold. No, this is exactly what we need to do. We need to clear that energy. And it's amazing. Never seen a cold clear up in like less than 24 hours. It's just all the symptoms completely went away, because that stuck energy is what was creating the symptoms of a cold.
Well, don't you think most disease it starts?
No, I would say all of it. Not most, all.
Yeah, all.
That's my mantra. I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah, good for you.
No. I sincerely believe that, and that's one thing that I saw in my near-death experience is I saw how I created my own dis-ease, my dysfunction. And the destruction in everything in my life, from career to relationships to, my work, all of it. And so we are creators, right? Back to the thing.
Absolutely.
Is we're creating every single moment. And so as an energy being, it's our challenge to refine that. That's the mastery that I believe we're here. I want to ask you about, you said that you're a mom, which is awesome, a big job and a powerful position to have and hold.
Well, I honor all the moms and dads out there.
Yes.
It's, it's a beautiful, I was lucky for a number of years to be that stay-at-home mom before I developed my business. And so my first two children really got the true stay-at-home mom, and my second two, my two younger ones, were mom, developing her healing arts business.
Now, you mentioned to me before in conversation, you were a doctor's wife.
Yes.
So tell me about that. Was that instrumental in you deciding to go down natural medicine path?
It's interesting, actually. Growing up and in college, my parents really encouraged me to become a doctor, lawyer, something on that very
straight and narrow.
And my dad was an attorney, and I had no interest in law, but I always had such a fascination about the human body and how it works. So I thought maybe medicine, but my path didn't take me to medical school. And now I know why, because allopathic medicine, I don't think I would have been very happy writing prescriptions all day long. I like to look, as you do, at what everything around us that may be causing a physical symptom or a mental emotional symptom, and where is that coming from in the energy field? What shamanic technique might we need to use to clear that out? What generational patterns might we have that we don't even know we have, that we can dive in and clear and do that generational healing? And do you need a massage? Do you need some cranial sacral? Do you need Reiki with some chakra balancing? So I wouldn't have been happy being a prescription writer. And I know now that wasn't my path, but being married to a doctor, he was an eye doctor, an eye surgeon, and very successful at what he did and very driven. And because he was so busy, I had to find Carol in this being a mom, being a doctor's wife, being all these other things, what is truly Carol? And what is Carol's service to the world? How can I create in this world in a way because that's so important to me, to serve other people, serve you, Amira, serve your community, serve the community of people that Spirit brings to me. And how can I do that? So that was a whole process during that time of exploration of, who am I? What are my passions? And some people focus on one thing, like some people focus on being an astrologer or being that massage therapist. I know my partner's daughter-in-law is a very good massage therapist with no interest in, from her Christian background, won't do readings or anything like that. It just doesn't fit her belief system. So
right now.
Focus. Yeah, right now. But I found Spirit guided me to learn a lot of different tools, because the more tools I have in my tool belt or toolbox, when I come into session with the client, whether it's a mediumship reading or a shamanic healing session, whatever it is, Spirit always guides me. Let's use this tool. I start with not knowing. This is where trust comes in. You'll attest to this, right, Amira? I don't know what's going to happen in a session. I don't want to know. We open that sacred space. We call in the light of God, Great Spirit, and all our helpers, the healers, the power animals, the angels that wish to come in on behalf of that client in that moment. And then we go to work and they guide me. It's all Spirit guided. It isn't about Carol. Carol puts her ego at the door. Okay, now we're in service. And my Spirit team, we work together. So this is something I teach my students, is start from day one, building your Spirit team, whether it's an angel, spirit guide, power animal, or a whole group over time, and get to know them.
You're right. It is like building a relationship.
Just what the books say, Archangel Raphael is. What is your personal relationship?
Exactly. Boy, you're singing my tune. I think that's the importance of working with a teacher, is because it is special for you, and you can't learn this stuff in a book or on a website. It is just not possible.
Right.
It's because why? It's an experiential process, right? Making a friend.
Yeah.
Right. You can do it online, but at the end of the day, you have to speak to them. You have to engage. There has to be some reciprocity. And the same is true with your spirit guides, I find.
Absolutely. We're a team. And I go to them and go, like yesterday was an odd day for me. It was just off. And I went to my Spirit team and I said, what's up? Why did I cut my finger with the knife? Why did all that? And they said, don't worry about those little things. We're just preparing you for a reset.
That's the word I was getting. Oh my gosh.
So we have resets throughout our whole life. And we have these changes, and if we push against it and try to swim upstream, we really make it hard on ourselves. So engage.
Look at that, Caroline. It took 34 minutes for that to come through you. It was so cool. It's so cool.
So we all have our off days, but those off days teach us something. Those dark nights of the soul. And believe me, during my divorce, I don't call it my divorce, the divorce. I don't know. I'm careful with my language about what I say because do I want to own that? No, I don't. It was a divorce, and it was an experience. And like you've been through that years ago too, that opened many opportunities. I probably wouldn't be here in Arizona. I used to live in Iowa. I may not be doing this. I might not have met Amira.
Right. No, absolutely true. Yeah. If I hadn't had married the man I did, who was from Florida, I would have never been in the United States, because that was not on my list of things to do, is move away from my family or country. That just wasn't on my radar. And so it was very traumatic for me, actually, to integrate into this culture, surprisingly enough. But yeah, all of those opportunities years and years and years ago set the stage. Yeah. So it's so fascinating for us to embrace whatever turmoil or changes I think that a person's going through right now, there is a very important reason why you're going through this.
Absolutely. And allow it. Just don't let yourself get stuck.
Absolutely.
Right. So embrace
and align with a teacher or support system that can help you navigate through these, the quagmire and the uncertainty and the confusion.
And
Overwhelm.
we all have those moments
Absolutely.
in life where we feel down or depressed, or that dark night of the soul. And yet that in that dark night, we find our inner light. We do. If we give it time and we're patient with it, we ask for the help, as you just said, and the guidance, a new part of us emerges. It's really a rebirthing process.
Yeah.
And a new identity. One identity is dying, right? One story or several stories. In my case, the story of being married and everything that revolved around that.
Friends, social life, position, all of that gets shifted, right? And it's
all that's dying. So you're going through this inner grief. Yeah. And you really can't explain it to other people because it's your own experience. Other people,
confusion.
Oh yeah, the anger, the screaming at God, why, and the fear of what's going to happen. I mean, I had no idea how it would turn out financially for me, what my business would look like. Actually, it was one of the best things for me because I had worked, my ex-husband had a medical spa along with his ophthalmology practice, and I had worked there. And building their clientele, right? This gave me the opportunity to totally revamp. I decided to work out of the home and create a healing arts center. And this was in Iowa that I did that before I moved to Arizona 5 years ago. And it just grew and grew. And I met so many cool people, and spirit just helped me. So sometimes that feels like the most bumpy, difficult, dark time is simply that portal into something more beautiful.
You took a risk. You listened to that intuition. You did something different, probably against the grain of what everybody else was doing at the time. And
working out of the courage wasn't necessarily professional, but it ended up being absolutely
right. So it's messy in the beginning. It never is perfect. Just like why I'm here live. I'm not quite sure what spirit's preparing me for, but I'm allowing myself to go through these growing pains, and it's fascinating.
You and I are in a similar place right now, different but similar. I'm looking to how do I reach more people as well, because I've been getting those messages for the past 3 years. It's time to do more groups. And I love the one-on-one or small group readings and sessions. And I have taught workshops in the past, but they've been live in person. So what does this look like? Just like you, how is spirit, sometimes we have to let go of the how and just start trying different things, experimenting. Where is spirit leading us? In your case, these wonderful YouTube lives, think of all the people you're reaching that need to hear your voice.
And that was what spirit was showing me, that I needed to be visible. So I kept hearing visibility. And that was a year and a few months ago, because I was frustrated, right? Where I moved to a new place and I had to reinvent everything again after COVID, right? Everybody's picking up the pieces, reinventing, resetting themselves.
It's a global reset.
And so there's I think an accelerating process. Like we don't have a lot of time to futz around. Do it. Just dive in, figure it out. It'll be messy. You'll get all the pieces and you'll fit them into place as it goes. But so that's kind of me. I know that there's lots of people, as you said in the beginning, waking up, want the information, want a trusted leader that's seasoned, that has life experience, that knows the ups and the downs and the pitfalls. Because I'm sorry, but I don't trust somebody that's had 2 years of this expertise, because there's just too much to wrap into, a lifetime of all of the spiritual possibilities and things that can go wrong or go haywire.
And
Don't 2 years doesn't give you enough time to realize all that.
And there is something to be said for experience with age.
Yeah. No,
Seriously.
my natural platinum hair is proof.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love to touch up my color too, but
No, this is natural. This is
I love it. You shine. Look how you sparkle.
this is
Mine's
and
natural. I just
look,
touch out the gray a little.
let's go in a little vanity here. I resisted, like you can't imagine, and it's been on my mind for like 3 years or more. Like what would I look like with my natural hair? And I know ladies listening to this have been doing the same thing. Everywhere I go now, people compliment me on my hair color, and they think it's a box job or a stuff. And so that's the most amusing experience for me. And I'm laughing at myself how much I resisted it, right? Due to my French vanity. But I want to ask you, Carol Ann, if you've got a message for anybody that's listening right now. I'm feeling somebody wants a message, and I know that maybe it's a group message, maybe it's to all these people that are waking up that want a teacher or resetting. I don't know exactly, but Spirit's telling me that you have a message to give.
Well, may I, with your permission, springboard from something I'm seeing in your energy field?
Oh, sure.
Is that all right? Okay. So my attention has been brought to your beautiful coral red necklace.
Okay.
There's wonderful energy there, and a very creative energy around it. But also, however, that color of red speaks to me not only of passion. When people think of red, they think of passion and such, but it also speaks to me of a good business mind. You may not think about yourself with a good business mind, but it's there, and more opportunities within the business of what you're doing. And yes, what we do is a business, and it's okay. It's good to be okay with that, because we live in a world where we want to take our passions and our loves and our desire to serve and still find a way to live in this physical world, which means, having a roof over our heads, having food. And what does that take? The energy of money, right? And so many people, and maybe some of you out there listening to this go, well, how can I be a healer and make money? And it's okay. We are meant to, we have chosen to be in this world with this dynamics of nature and physical objects and comfort. And it's when we get too focused on, I want that next new car, and I want that next new house. I invite you. So with you, Amira, you have a really wonderful balance in your energy field. You have a deep desire to serve, and you have a big curiosity about what's next, and how can I be creative in serving? And you have passion and that business mind. You have really good business sense about you. So trust it, okay? And this goes out to other people with trust. The both integrate the logic brain, which many of us intuitives want to push that out of the way because we want to listen only to our intuition. But when we integrate the tool of the logic, right, with our intuition, okay, you have the information. Now let's feel into it. Does this feel like a good possibility, or does it still feel like I'm not ready, or does it feel like I've got to let go of this identity and call in the Amira that says go for it? Right? Because
and the kick in the pants, right? I might be called a hard ass sometimes. No, with hard ass with heart. Yeah, that's a good one.
There
isn't
you
it?
go. I like that.
Yeah. No, I like to say to be grounded.
Yeah.
And I think that
And
anybody
to be
that knows
grounded.
me or listens to me, the practical approach that I have to intuition and developing your psychic and spiritual abilities is a grounded, practical approach. That's my Capricorn side of me. Yeah. And and it's funny because I never saw the work I do as a business. for years.
Yeah. But it's
And
okay now. And the opportunities and the ability to grow and reach more people is accepting that as the business part and embracing it and loving it. So all of you out there that are struggling with, can I leave this job? Can I do something else? First, take a good look inside yourself. What is my must? What is my why? Really? What, the must to leave the job, or the must to change your diet, or the must to seek out a different relationship, or the must to improve our relationship. We're in a society where we're so ready to leave and ditch it and move on, when maybe there's some beauty in revamping something and reorganizing something.
And to that point, I've noticed, and I always say, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater when you absolutely hate your job or hate your career path that you've chosen. What I tend to recommend is start clearing the baggage, whether it's resentment for your boss or resentment for your parents or whatever. You start within, start on your own system, because a lot of times, maybe it's a marriage or a relationship, and so once we start shifting our frequency, all of a sudden that person doesn't look so bad. All of a sudden the job is good. All of a sudden things just smooth out a little bit, and you kind of have a pause and sort of take a look at with new fresh eyes on the lay of the land, right? And it can shift. So that's what I would say to that. Let's not do anything harsh or extreme immediately. Let's do the work, be quiet in the background, and then boom, it'll show up exactly where you're supposed to go.
And to know that when you go for guidance from a psychic medium, and especially if you go to one that says, oh, I see this is going to happen in your future.
Oh, geez, don't get me started.
You know what? I know you and I are on the same page here. It's like,
oh yeah. Oh, and by the way, I need new drapes, a television, and tires for my car. That'll be about $5,000. So drop that in my bank. You know what I mean? The gypsies fortune tellers.
Or the ones that say you've got to come back and buy this crystal, or you're going to have a evil spell on you.
And some elk horns, and I'm going to do a ritual. Yeah.
Walk away from that. Listen to your intuition. The future is never set in stone. Now, you may have a momentum in a certain direction, right, based on where you've been and the decisions you're currently making. However, you can change that, and you can change it right here and now. If you don't want what's in your direct line, whether it's job, relationship, career, money, and you want something, now it's time to look at the possibilities out here, right? And what you mentioned, letting go of the baggage. What do you need to let go of? What part of you do you need to let die? And that sounds scary. But we have to let a story die. We have to almost sometimes encourage that and invite the new story in, and allow that new story, that new identity to come in. Then you have the ability to pick a different outcome, right? Because you've changed who you are.
Exactly. I say you're changing the program, you're changing and resetting your future based on your energy today. So it's like your vibration today is creating your experience. And so if you're not liking it, baby girl or baby boy, you gotta shift those yucky vibes to then, create something different, And it was funny, I was getting ready for this show, and I don't know, I had the crazy thought like, oh gosh, got to get this and plug in this and make sure all these. And I heard my guides go, just get over yourself. Look what you're doing. You're just doing it. Like I was amused and chuckling, having this internal dialogue, with my guide that's like, you have to do something different to get out of the comfort zone. Like, I know I'm good in business, to what you were saying. I know I can do all this and set up systems, but I was making excuses for myself, right? I had to kick myself.
Yeah, we call those back doors. Like, I don't want to do that, so I'm going to slip out that back door.
Play safe and stay in my little comfort zone. And no, I don't want to rock the boat, or, I got to have an old program from family. You're from, Iowa, I'm from Canada. It's like, don't stand out. Whatever you do, don't say.
Don't shine too brightly.
Yeah, because what? It makes everybody else look shit. Like they look like really bad because you're so bright, right? That's why they couldn't stand it.
And also know in your journey, I feel like somebody in your audience needs to hear this. It's okay for friendships to change. It's okay to let a friendship just fall away, because new ones that support you in your new vibration and your new creativity come in. That too can be a scary thing. Back when I used to be an avid runner, about 20 years ago, I ran some marathons, and I had a very close friend, dear friend. And I knew, because of her belief system, I was a little bit afraid to tell her of my spiritual growth and my psychic abilities. But I finally did. And yes, the friendship dissolved because it didn't fit her belief structure. Now, I love her dearly, and I send her lots of love, and I don't judge her for where she's at. That's just where she's at. That's what she believed.
Right. And
I had to move on. I had to continue my journey with or without her in my life, right?
So for people that are just going through this, which I know it's prevalent, I've had several stages of this throughout my journey. And so I'm sometimes surprised with, that no longer fits, or that person turned their back, or all of a sudden you see that the relationship is one-sided and it doesn't really support or serve you. And I had a client just saying the other day, well, if I let go of these dysfunctional alcoholic people or people in recovery, I won't have anybody in my life. And I said, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand what it's like. But you will, as your energy shifts, attract people that will support and serve you. And look at, you just popped into my world, and we've been on the same path for so long. So that's what I notice, is you start attracting people that just get you, and you vibe with each other really fast. And you don't have to know each other 40 years.
The other thing, Amira, I'm being guided to mention here is, so often when I talk to other people in some area of the healing arts, or who are thinking, in some readings, it's come through that in a shamanic coaching session recently, that the person could be really good in a career path of life coach. And her immediate response was, oh no, there's too many of those out there. I don't want to get into that. Whoa, let's step back from that.
Right. Get over yourself.
One slice for everybody. It's abundant. And there are always people who want to hear Amira's voice and need Amira's vibration and are attracted to that. There's always people that want Carol's vibration and Carol's creative gifts. There's always people out there for you who are listening. There's always people that will be attracted to your unique imprint in this world, your unique creative self. And you might say, I'm not creative. We are all creators.
Yeah,
right?
You're a creator. You're creating your experience.
Right. So instead of like, too many people are doing this. I can't get into that market. It's too saturated. Let go of that. That's a human limited thought form that's been programmed into our consciousness. There's abundance for all. And, I'll give you all a little secret. Work with your spirit team. Every day when I get up, I go to spirit and I say, who can I serve today? And how can I serve them? I'm trusting you, great God, great spirit, and my spirit team, my angels and guides, to bring to me those people that Carol can be that tool for their healing, or that tool, that medium that can connect them with their mom or their spouse or their daughter in the spirit world. If I am that person, bring them to me. If Amira is that person, bring them to Amira. There's an abundance for all. And the abundance is like a cup that overflows. And when you tune into that, you always have everything you need and desire in terms of your soul guidance, not necessarily the ego guidance,
And I think the key to that is being in alignment.
Yes.
If you're not in alignment with your authentic vibration, then regardless of what you call yourself, if you're an architect or an attorney or an accountant, you will draw the perfect people to you. But if you're out of alignment, it's just going to be struggle.
Well, case in point, when I was going early part of the divorce years ago, the attorney I had got sick with cancer and could no longer be my attorney. So I took the opportunity to interview attorneys, and I knew I kept coming back, even though as a woman, I really wanted a female attorney, but the one I was guided to was a male, and he was so good at what he did. And I knew he was the one. I just intuitively knew I could look him in the eye. Back then, it was hard for me to look, especially men, directly in the eye. I don't know why. I was just an old self that's long gone now, but an insecurity maybe of living with a very dominant person.
Right. Not being confident. Exactly.
Right. So I knew I could look him in the eye. He had the attributes I was looking for. So as much as I really wanted a female attorney, this was the one I had to go with. And he did a fabulous job. He's the one that got me through a very, very rough time. But we worked together with spirit. And I even asked him to call in the spirit of an attorney in the spirit world to help him. Right.
Awesome.
And I called in my attorney dad and my judge great grandfather and my spirit team is that helped me with this. You see how we can form our teams? We can call on our loved ones in spirit. If they have a skill or an attribute, like my dad was an attorney, come in and help me with this. My great grandfather had been a judge, come in and help me with this. I wouldn't have called on somebody that didn't have some legal expertise from the spirit world, right? So that's another key part for somebody out there listening.
Exactly.
When you form,
I can think of a number of people that I've been talking to just a few days ago, and that all sort of this is speaking to them. You know, I can hear it right now, and I see the wheels turning for all of you.
Now, this is a little off topic, but as we've been talking for the past 10 minutes, I keep feeling that somebody listening, either now or later to this live, is pregnant, and maybe a woman who's physically pregnant. And whether she knows it yet or not, it may be a surprise, or she may have an inkling that she's pregnant. I'd love to hear if you hear any comments from somebody.
And just, if that's you, could it be anybody that's ready to give birth to a business? Or
yes, and that's where I was going. It can be a physical pregnancy. However, it is also a birthing of something new. And I would agree. I feel like because we were on the talking about a business, a business in a way they have
a career path, new career path.
Right. Yeah. And think about it. We get to a point where we have to birth it or it dies.
Right.
And, if a baby can only stay in the womb so long and be nourished so long, and they have to come out into the world as a creator, and then we guide it and we grow it, and eventually we let it move and evolve on into their adulthood. Same thing, whoever is ready and very pregnant with this business and ready to birth it, it's time. Give it up and birth it, and just see the beauty of it. And one thing I have to mention here is we get so caught up on, well, I'm here, but I want to be way over here. How do I get there? Right? The how, and it stops us in our tracks. I know has stopped me, the technicalities of doing all these virtual things and integrating, email lists and so on, all that business stuff. But yet, instead of letting it stop you, give it 5 minutes a day. Just start with that. Just start with, I can give this idea 5 minutes. And then the next day you're more excited about it. You give it 10 minutes. And then the next day it's a half hour. So you don't have to start with hours and hours of difficult figuring something out and then getting frustrated and walking away from it. Just give your creative time. And then there's my clock. You're doing an emphasis on it.
We're coming up to the hour here, I guess. Yeah. Well, I think that's great advice. That's great advice, because often
5 minutes, whether you want to learn to paint or draw or carve or golf or whatever it is, you got to start somewhere. And it doesn't have
Absolutely.
to be a huge chunk, just 5 minutes. Yeah.
And that way you're not fighting yourself to get over yourself, you know? Yeah. So Carol Ann, you're just a wealth of information. You've got so much wisdom to share. And I so appreciate your messages that you gave to me and to everybody listening or watching. And so anybody that's birthing a new idea or reinventing themselves or creating a second chapter or have something brewing in their head, just leave the comments in below and you can and maybe we can comment back. So Carol Ann, was there something that you would like to leave our audience with? Is there a special gift or a freebie that you're offering?
Yes, actually, it's in the works. It isn't yet on my website, but will be soon. I have an ebook coming out about connecting with, I'm listing like the 10 most popular or common. There's so many power animals and spirit animals that I couldn't, a book would be 300 pages. And I just want a simple little ebook showing you what types of spirit animals are available to us, help us and guide us. And I'm also creating one about the angels and so on. But
so I will put in the description your website where people can go, and then you'll
be there soon.
You'll be showing them. Awesome.
Within a week, hopefully. And because actually you inspired me to do that.
Oh, great.
Last time, because I kept thinking, I have all these meditations I could record. But when you mentioned, Carol, how about an ebook? I'm like, that resonates.
Yeah. Good for you. Good for you.
Spirit can speak through that and give people guidance on how a spirit animal or how an angel can help them right now, right where you're at, and be a springboard to help you get to where your passion.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, I've got to close it down now. I know we could talk for hours and maybe we can do this again real soon.
I would be honored.
Yeah. So please leave us your comments. And if you have any questions for Carol Ann or myself, we'll be happy to respond to that. So until then, have a magical week. Carol Ann and I are sending you happy vibes and for manifesting miracles. Okay.
Thank you, Amira. Lots of blessings.
Okay.